All right, it's the first Friday of a month. That means at 3:30, it's time for Ask a Bookkeeper with Steph Conley, brought to you by Steph's bookkeeping service. Steph, good afternoon. It's been a while since I got to produce your show.
Hi, everybody. Stephanie Conley here. So I guess I'll start off the show with saying my name is Stephanie Conley, and yes, I am a link clicker. And so that brings in our wonderful, fun topic today on phishing scams. I guess I am glad that I'm not the only one that potentially has become a victim of these phishing scams. From talking to a bunch of other small business owners and talking to some insurance agents, this seems to be a very common problem that's running rampant in the small business community right now, especially after COVID. I guess people invested a lot of time and energy into figuring out how to scam small business owners on a higher level. So I have, hi Mary Shep, hi Mom. So I have a email pulled up. So these emails I'm about to show you are emails that I exchanged with somebody who is not a real person. This is a phishing email that we received. So just disclaimering that so everybody knows, and I am fine with my responses being posted on the internet. So, and I don't really care about the other person because they're not real. So that's kind of where I stand with that. So to start off, to give you guys an idea of how this journey took place, and also I'm going to disclaimer too, I am a bookkeeper. I am not an IT professional. I am not super savvy when it comes to identifying this stuff, as I learned the hard way. So I'm just putting that out there. Any comments or questions specifically related to IT should be done with your IT professional. No, Mary, I did not fall for the Nigerian prince, but it was probably close. So I received an email on March 14th from someone stating that they're looking for bookkeeping services, payroll services, and tax services, and asking if we offered those services and if we were accepting new clients. So it came through, but when it came through, it went straight to my junk folder, which was kind of weird, but I was like, okay. So I looked at the email. I responded to the gentleman and I said, thanks for reaching out. Yes, we're taking on new clients, but we offer everything but taxes. So then so that was this email. So then
Okay.
I'm going to switch. So we're going to be toggling between screens. So it might be a little slow moving at points, just so y'all know to bear with. Okay. So there's the original email, my response. And then he responded saying that he sent me a PDF item that I could download and read, which has his financials on and whatever, which isn't super uncommon for people to send me protected files that are in Excel format or PDF or whatever. It's not that uncommon. But when I click on the link, which I'm not going to do again, when I click on the link, it takes me to a page that basically has an Excel background, and it wants me to log in to my Microsoft account. And so at first I was like, that's kind of weird. So I clicked off of it, and then I Googled the person, Googled the company that's listed in their signature, the phone number, everything like that. And it seemed fairly legit. It's a company, I guess, out of Texas, and it seemed kind of correct to me. I mean, we have clients nationally, so I didn't think much of it. So I responded back to him, told him I can't access the file. I need him to send me a new file. So he sent me another file, and he's like, you have to just put your Microsoft login in. So I was like, okay, but I was also doing like 7 or 8 different things when he sent this email, which was also probably not the best idea, because now I'm got my attention divided amongst whatever different things that I'm doing, and I'm attempting to click on this link that I already think is kind of weird. So I clicked on the link, I put my stuff in, nothing happened. So then I was like, okay, whatever. I kind of forgot about it a little bit. Didn't tell my husband, who's also our IT person for our company, because I didn't want him to know that I clicked the link. So I didn't want to get in trouble. So hi, Lisa. And so I kind of just left it at that. Nothing kind of happened for probably about 5 days. So for 5 days, it was radio silent. Then all of a sudden I get an email requesting that I add somebody to a client's payroll. So it looked like my client's email. It had her name, her signature, but the email address had the last 2 digits because she has numbers in her email address, and they were just transposed. And at first I didn't really catch it, but I thought it was kind of weird because I don't really handle her payroll. But I know that she was kind of ramping up into her busy season, so I figured maybe she wanted me to just add these employees or whatever to her payroll. So I looked at the email, I logged into her payroll, and I added the people. But before I processed the payroll, I was like, this is weird because the verbiage in her email doesn't really match her normal verbiage in her emails. And the salary amounts are very weird compared to their other employees. So then I was like, okay, so I called her and I was like, hey, before I process this payroll, I just wanted to make sure that these salary amounts are correct. And she's like, I didn't send you an email. And I'm like, yeah, you did. I have your email. So here, this is this. And then, so she's like, no. She's like, I didn't send it. So then I'm like, okay. So then since I didn't process anything, I deleted everything out of her payroll software. But this person sent this other situation that was happening, which I believe they're related, sent me a W-4 and routing and banking information that validated and connected. So I was like, okay, that's kind of weird. So then so at that point, then I finally involved Rich. And I was like, there's something wrong. So then.
At what point did he go, what'd you click? Did he ask you that or nah?
No, he just called me link clicker for 2 days in the house. That was my new name.
All right. There you go. You link clicker, you.
Yeah. So basically Rich was able to log into the back end of our website and our email stuff. I don't know really how he does it, but he did it. And he was able to see that someone had logged into my email at 2 p.m. that day from Ohio, and then someone else from Virginia logged into my email, and then someone from Kenya. So we were able to, I guess, catch it and shut it down within 3 hours. Okay? Which is kind of a long time, but anybody that knows me knows I keep every single email that I've ever had since the start of my email. So whoever really went into my email, I don't know if they really were going to spend the time to go through it because I have over 10,000 emails in there. So I don't know, if they're going to be able to navigate that mess and understand it the way that I understand it.
Why do you do that?
I don't know. I just never delete anything. I'm like a hoarder, but just in emails, not in real life.
You're an email hoarder.
Yes. I just am afraid
to delete
them.
Maybe that needs to be a new show. Email hoarders and the notes they keep.
Yeah. So they probably logged in and they're like, oh shit. I don't really want this one. This is not such a good idea. There's too much junk in here.
Holy crap. This lady has more shit than we do. Excuse my language. Sorry.
So after Rich came upstairs then and started investigating the situation, now I learned what to look for so this doesn't happen again. So one thing that was weird, if you look on the email that this person sent me on March 14th, it's from an email address at Gmail. And then as our conversation continued on March 19th, the email address changed. Now it's at Comcast.net. But it still has the same person's name on there. So that's kind of a thing that looks weird. Number one, I don't normally switch my email address mid-conversation with somebody. So that's kind of an indicator. Rich also pointed out to me, which I would have never guessed, but the font is not a standard font on the email. Whoever sent this email changed the font and didn't use a default font, and that, I guess, people don't normally change their font on emails. They just leave the standard font.
Yeah.
I've never changed my font, so I don't know if anybody out there has.
No.
But I guess that is something that caught his eye immediately. Like, I would have never known. Yes. Yeah. Yes, Mary. The scammers are out in full force, and it is maddening because I felt so violated after this. So and then the link that the person had sent me, I don't think it will do it now, but if you hovered over the link, the address the hyperlink that would populate was to Slack.
Oh.
Which was not an Office or Microsoft product.
No.
So it wanted me to log into my Microsoft account, but the hyperlink was for Slack, but it wasn't for slack.com. It was for slack.something.com. So it wasn't even like a proper
it wasn't
Slack
even a
thing.
real Slack.
Right. Oh. So Rich was saying that if anybody feels that the link that they get sent looks abnormal, the hyperlink looks abnormal, you could always Google it. And if it doesn't connect to something real, like a real piece of software or a real piece of whatever out there, then you know that is an alarming problem. So these were the kind of things that he brought to my attention. So after that happened, and with the payroll situation happened, I went to the McHenry Police Department to file a police report for the phishing scam to protect myself as well as my clients or anybody that may have gotten their email address from my email for the 3 hours they had access to it.
Yeah.
So we also sent an email out to all of our clients saying that we had some suspicious email and, don't send any information like banking information, social security numbers, anything like that. Don't send any of that because we don't normally request that through email. We have a separate portal that they have to log into. So
you've got a secure portal.
Right.
Okay.
So we always recommend that they log into there and upload any sensitive documentation into there. So this way then there's like that extra level of protection for that. So it would be very abnormal. So I went to the police department to file a police report. I guess I'll just say that ultimately we were in disagreement on whether or not an actual crime was committed. And I wound up leaving the police department. They were super nice, but I don't feel like satisfied with the results of that. So me being the person that I am and being upset that I feel like this person got one over on me, I called the banks because I had the banking routing numbers and checking account numbers and social security numbers. So I called the banks and I told them that these people were involved in phishing scams and they're using these accounts to launder money to foreign countries. So for federal protocol, they have to freeze the account until they get to the bottom of it. So now those people have frozen bank accounts. So you're welcome. And
can you do that again? Maybe put a little more attitude on it. So you're welcome. That was good.
Yeah. So it was like a local bank in Ohio. I called. They were super helpful. And they went through the whole validation process with me. So the names that were on the W-4s, the social security numbers, the routing numbers, and the checking numbers all matched to that person that was listed on those forms. So it was an actual person. So I guess from talking to people and kind of investigating this further, those people are called mules. So they get like a percentage or a cut for using this American bank account to then launder it out into foreign companies. So they might have been trying to scam whatever, approximately $20,000 out of me / my client. But we were one of however many. And how many people would have gone to that next step and called the bank?
If that's a real person then, and they are using an actual social number, and they're doing it through getting onto payroll without actually being hired, and suppose that goes through, they're still going to have to file taxes on that, correct? I mean, they're going to get a W-2 at the end of the year.
Right. I mean, they'll get a
And-
W-2, but as for if they
I
file
mean-
tax or not, I mean, I don't know. But yeah,
Well, I mean, someone's going to know because it's going to get reported, and then eventually somebody at the IRS is probably going to come knocking on a door. Because I know some people have gone years without filing taxes, and they go, "Oh, I didn't know I was supposed to do that." And you're like, "Yeah, you numbknuckle." But well, maybe it's not. Maybe they don't care if they're doing that.
yeah.
Maybe
I mean,
they
I
just
don't
care.
know if it's like a 100% a valid social security number. I just know that social security number was on that bank account.
Was on the bank account. Okay.
So
I don't know if it's an actual good SOCH number.
So like if you use the social security number and you start building credit with it, then it kind of validates in the system, and you'd have to dig deeper to really discover whether or not it's a fraudulent social security number. Or I've seen where people have transposed the two middle digits of their social security number and are like, "Oh my God, I'm so sorry," whatever. And they've been able to get payroll on that. And then they switch it back or fix it or whatever. And then they have to call the Social Security office. Whether or not that was done on purpose or not, I don't know. But
yeah, I guess you wouldn't. And they wouldn't know. The employer, quote unquote, employer wouldn't really know unless or until they received a no match letter from the SSA. And those who you may wind up with them, you may not.
Right.
It just depends on what they happen to catch or what they don't.
Right. Well, and also you have to take into consideration too, like you as an employee or you as a small business owner that has this checking account that now is less $20,000, you have a limited amount of time to file with your bank to recoup that money.
Man.
It's a very small window, so you really have to hawkeye your bank accounts to determine that. It's not like a credit card.
I would think this is really very fortunate for you and a small employer because it would be easier to catch because you know who you hire and who you don't if you're a small employer. So if something came across my payroll that I left to other people or had a bookkeeper or whatever do, and someone came out, I'd be like, "Who the heck is this? This is not an employee of ours." You may have lost that paycheck at that point in time, and you might get some of that back from your bank if you're quick about it. But I would think this would be a much more difficult thing to resolve if they did this targeting large employers where you've got 1,000 or more employees.
Right. So it might be harder to catch.
Your payroll department, they're going to, oh, okay, there's another one. They're not going to know. They have no idea who HR is hiring, and they just see paperwork come through. And if it's digital, like many of them are now, they're just going to be like, oh, okay, digital paperwork, here you go. And so that's kind of scary.
Yeah. So Mary says that there's no... they are so hard to prosecute when they trick you into giving them something. It's really not a crime. That's why they don't just flat out hack your accounts.
Yeah.
So I called and talked to my my cousin who is in the law enforcement agencies, and he said that there was still, in his opinion, an intent to commit a crime, and that it's still prosecutable. Because, like, for example, if I decide to take a gun out and shoot at Pete, and I miss him, that doesn't mean that there was no crime committed because I didn't actually hit him, that I still had an intent to commit a crime.
I may be more likely to forgive you if you miss.
But, so it's just like that. Obviously, those people were doing this with the intent to steal money. And so he said that basically if I wanted to escalate it from there, I'd have to call the FBI. And I guess you can just Google and there's a phone number you can call to the FBI and whatever. But since it was such a small amount of money and I didn't, like, nothing actually like happened, I'll probably be on the lower end of their totem pole for priority.
Yeah.
So
if they didn't actually get away with anything, like no money, no funds or anything like that.
Right.
I could see where some people would say, okay, well, there's no crime, there's intent. But, and like in your example, probably unlawful discharge of a firearm, or attempted murder or manslaughter, but, we're cool. So I'm not too worried about that.
Yeah. So, so basically I pretty much maxed out with what I could do at that point as somebody that clicked the link and was now a victim of the situation. I did everything I could do by emailing out my clients. I went and filed a police report. I contacted the banks that were potentially involved in the situation and let them know that they have a client or customer that is doing this. And then the final step that I did was I marked this person, Phillips Wheeler, as a phishing person. So to do that, you have to log into, well, for me, because I have Microsoft, so I have to log into my office.com account. And then I go to where the email is. This is the steps where I can't show on share screen because then it shows like everything in my email. So it's a little too private. So, but you just right click on the email, in the little box where it has the name, not the actual email page. So you right click on that. And then down towards the bottom, there's a thing called security settings. And then you could mark it as phishing. Phishing is one of the options in there. And then, so since they didn't get away with it, a few days after that, they attempted to access us with the same email from the same individual, but a new email address, looking for bookkeeping services. So needless to say, we didn't respond to him.
Wow.
And he got...
Well, let's try again with the same name.
So he got marked as phishing right away, so he no longer is able to access. And, I guess I forgot the most important part of what we did. Two-step verification. That is a big thing. On all of my software that I use for bookkeeping, payroll, accessing data, like any other levels of data, our bill paying software, our bank softwares, everything like that has two-step verification on it. Everything but my email had two-step verification on it. So needless to say, we have two-step verification now turned on my email. So I recommend to everybody out there, put that on all of your softwares, all of your logins. Thankfully for me, none of my logins have the same password. So it doesn't really matter if you get one of my passwords, you're never going to be able to figure out the other ones because they're not closely
related.
Yeah. So it's fine. But so after Rich turned on the two-step verification process, I got probably 7 to 12 alerts on my cell phone that someone was trying to log in to my email. They finally gave up after a couple hours, but from talking to an IT professional, they told me that basically how it works is they get the information, verify that the password and login works, and then they sell it to whomever and to how many ever people.
Wow.
So those probably were people that bought my credentials that were no longer able to access my stuff because we had turned on the two-step verification and blocked them from doing so. So that is kind of my whole story on phishing and what I experienced as a small business owner. And I thought today's show would be a good way to put the word out to help other people.
Well, yeah.
Look at all of these different things. Look at the email addresses. Don't click the link.
So, you link clicker.
If you do need to click a link, they should be providing you with the password and login. You should not be using your own logins to access their data. So there was just kind of so many red flags that were flaring out and popping out at me. And because I was distracted and whatever, I had a moment of stupidity, I didn't think about it. But now I know, and I've learned from it. And, hopefully that you're not what does Mary say? Also, Microsoft will never call you to tell you that you have a virus. Oh, yeah. So the IT professional that I had called recommended that I download this software called Malwarebytes. And so I downloaded that and ran a scan on my computer, and it doesn't look like there was anything downloaded, removed, added, anything like that. Another thing that these people will do once they access your email is put forwarding rules. They'll put rules on your email. So they'll add a rule to forward anything like with blah, blah, blah on there. Like if they're trying to add to payroll, so they'll say forward all emails from this payroll provider to them versus it coming to you. So then they could start intercepting so you don't get wise to what they're doing.
Wow.
So if you do get hacked, check your rules first. Check your rules and change your password and put your 2-step verification on if you don't already have it on. So this way you don't get, so they don't get very, very far in the process. So I'm hoping and assuming that those people were really mad when they woke up the next morning and found out that they couldn't access their bank accounts. And I hope that they did wind up getting a bunch of funds from people that were now frozen and they couldn't access them to forward them. But that's just my own personal hope. I don't know what ultimately happened, because I guess, they can't tell me.
No, I don't imagine they could, but good on you for getting that frozen. And now they got to figure out how to undo it or just abandon them.
Well, yeah, they'll have to open up new accounts at a different bank.
Yeah, because they're just. I happen to be a criminal and I want my money that I stole. So,
yeah. I don't know. That's probably an awkward conversation that they have to have when they go in there.
You'd think.
Well, there's this guy that Rich had me watch on YouTube because I guess there's a lot of there's just scams going on with like Amazon. Yes, Mary, I learned. Don't click the link. I got it. No more link clicking. But I guess there's this guy that's working with the FBI kind of, and they're finding all these scammers that are trying to get people to send them cash to like Amazon and whatever. And so this guy developed this box that he'll send to these scammers, and it's a glitter bomb. So it has like a little microphone and a camera in there. And when they open it up, it shoots out a bunch of glitter as a glitter bomb, and then a bunch of fart spray comes out. But so it's on a battery, so they have to do it kind of quickly. So they need the person to like open the package kind of immediately.
Well, that's pretty freaking funny.
Yeah.
But I mean, who sends cash for anything anymore?
Well, I guess they're targeting people that are more aged.
The last time I ever got cash was like maybe in like a birthday card from a parent or somebody, grandparent, uncle, something like that.
But it's like $20,000, like $10,000.
I'm not giving anybody 10,000, 20,000 cash. You better have something I really, really want if I'm going to hand you that kind of cash.
Well, my grandma's friend fell for the same scam 3 times within like 2 months, with them saying that they have a virus and hacked her computer, but nothing really was happening. And she sent them money and they really,
wow.
So it happens. I mean, it wasn't like an outrageous amount of money, but it happens.
So I flag that stuff. Anything like that, I flag immediately and block and go. I don't click. And unless I'm expecting someone to, reach out to us or whatever. In fact, I got one at the chamber that said, "Hey, I need you to do something really urgently," from another chamber person. I'm like, yeah, this makes no sense whatsoever. Took a picture of it, texted it. This isn't you, is it? Oh no. Yeah. Okay. So, block, report, and they're gone. So yeah, I am the hardest person to get any kind of money out of. So sorry for all you people who want my money. You don't get it.
Yeah.
I apologize. So we got about a minute left.
So
anything else?
I don't know.
Oh, Mary has a thing.
So Mary says scammers are professionals in the human psychology. They sadly convince so many people that they need to get a gift card or wire them money. It's heartbreaking. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, watching this documentary thing that Rich showed me after he found out that I was a link clicker. It's crazy. Like how many people fall for this stuff and really have these situations. So I'm hoping that the show today, is able to help some of the small business owners out there. Cause like I said earlier in the show, I talked to some insurance agents and they told me that there's so many claims being filed for these internet scams and things, because so many small businesses are being impacted. And that's one more thing, outside of COVID that they really don't need to be impacted by from a financial aspect. So hopefully that helped y'all. Don't click the link. And next show, we will have Tim Santos from Health Markets on, and we will be talking insurance and the benefits of that, as well as the benefits it provides from a bookkeeping standpoint as well.
Awesome.
So hope to see you all in 2 weeks.
All right, 2 weeks. Catch y'all later.